Hello, how you doing? This is TV and School. Вивчаємо з тобою ми англійську. How are you? Що скажеш, коли ти зустрінеш якогось іноземця? So, let's speak English. Англійська мова Шекспіра та нью-йоркських таксистів. Англійська стане у нагоді вам, бойські дівчиська.
Hi everyone, welcome to our today's lesson. We're going to talk about art today, and I have a very special guest today, Andrea.
Hi Olga, how are you?
Oh, thank you, I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have lots of extra time on my hands.
Oh, really? Stay-at-home thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. You've been watching series?
No, that's just a waste of time.
Reading books?
Sometimes, but I've been on social media a little bit, and I've been inspired to go back to my original hobby.
Which is?
Learning about art and looking at art.
Oh yeah, you've always been interested in art. So what do you do? Do you do anything yourself, or?
I sometimes dabble in art, but I like to visit museums online.
Museums online?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
You can just go on a search engine and look up different museums and look at different pieces of art.
Oh, I wish I knew more about art and types of it.
We can go through it, but I want to show you the first inspiration that I had to start this hobby up again. I was looking online, and there was a picture, you can see it now, from the Ministry of Culture and Information Policy of Ukraine. Do you recognize this painting?
Oh, can I have a look at that?
Yeah, do you recognize it?
I think I've seen it in Sistine Chapel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly from the Sistine Chapel. It's the creation of Adam by Michelangelo.
Yeah, but it's fun how they turned it into the promotion of cleaning our hands at the time.
It's really nice that they take the classics and turn them into memes. Do you know a lot about the Renaissance?
No, I don't. I wish I knew more about that.
Yeah? So it's a very interesting part of history. It's the classics. They look at the form of the body, and it's very strict. But there are four main painters of the Renaissance. You must have heard of them.
I should tell the truth, I do hear about them every day. You know, having two boys, two sons who are huge fans of Ninja Turtles. So I have four of them. Yeah, so they are, sorry, I don't know the mask and colors, but I know that would be Raphael.
Raphael.
That would be Donatello.
Yeah.
That would be Michelangelo.
Yeah.
And finally, that would be
Leonardo.
Leonardo, yeah. What about the painting? What was the name you said?
It's the creation of Adam, and it's a fresco. Do you know what a fresco is?
I thought that was a painting, isn't it?
It's a style of painting. So what they do is they plaster the wall, and they add the color right onto the wet plaster. So when it dries, it sucks in all the color, and it stays for a really long time.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, but if you want to describe it, I would say it's Italian, isn't it?
Yes, definitely Italian. The colors are kind of pastel because they've worn with time, but they look at a lot of body structure, which is really interesting, and it's where everyone got their inspiration. I'm not really a fan of the classics, but if you look at new types of art, you can see that they're always looking back at the classics. Let's maybe move on to probably my favorite type of art.
What's that?
Have you seen this painting?
Oh, yes.
The Scream.
The Scream.
By Edward Munch.
Yeah.
It's part of Expressionism. Do you know much about that?
Well, the word expressionism would mean feelings and expression, your inner feelings through the pictures, the paintings.
And emotion. Because in the Renaissance, it was very structured and strict. But here, they kind of play with emotions. Do you ever use this face?
Oh, yeah, when I'm worried or when I have anxiety about, not having my hair done properly, not having my nails done properly. Well, exams. I think most of my students are, you know, the picture of it when they're getting ready for their final exams.
Yeah, exactly. And Expressionism isn't even just in the painting, but in the way they use the brush strokes and the way they use the color. They use intense color, bright colors, and they mix them together and blend them so that they're very bright and poppy.
Is Van Gogh one of the representatives of
Yeah,
it?
he is. He's probably the most famous.
Yeah.
But I like Edward Munch a lot better.
Oh, good.
Yeah. If we're going to look at people, if we move on, we're going to talk about Surrealism.
Oh, Surrealism. Is it Dali? Are you going to talk about Dali?
Not about Dali, but about another famous artist. His name is Magritte. Magritte. He draws a really interesting painting. It's a self-portrait of himself, but it has an apple where his face is.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen it? It's this one with the bowler hat.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's called The Son of Man. It's surrealist because if you look at all the details, it's very different from other forms of art. His hand is backwards. You can't see his face. It's covered. It's a really interesting painting style.
Yeah. When you mention it, I thought of Dali because his objects on the pictures are always surreal.
Yeah.
Odd shapes, odd forms.
Yeah, and they're very thought-provoking. They make you think and analyze what's happening.
Yeah.
You could say that it calls people to think, which is a good thing because art shouldn't just be something to look at, but something to consider and look at.
Oh, yeah.
But what about your famous Ukrainian painters? Do you know any?
Remember we went to the art gallery once and there was Maria Primachenko, originals.
Yeah, do you know what style she likes to usually paint?
I believe Maria Primachenko is Ukrainian Frida Kahlo. Don't you agree?
Yeah, she is a primitivist. Yeah.
Yeah.
She uses bright colors, usually primary colors, so red, blue, yellow, colors that make other colors.
Yeah, I feel like it's very much about folk. It's about our roots. Therefore, all generations and all ages of people like it. Like my kids, they're big fans of Primachenko. They can copy her style and colors. And I've met many adults who are fans of her art too.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I like that it is very simple. It's not overcomplicated like in the classics or with Expressionism. It's very, very basic. And that's a good thing for people. But if we look at Frida Kahlo and Primachenko, they like to always paint self-portraits.
Yeah.
And probably my very famous favorite self-portrait is this one of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
Is it primitivism as well?
No, it's pop art.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it Andy Warhol?
Yeah, it's Warhol's pop art. He also painted the very famous Campbell's tomato soup, which is really cool. And in pop art, or popular art, if you look at the full title, talks about bringing art to the people. So instead of having it in a museum, you can have it on your wall at home, on your refrigerator. And it's mimicking lots of cool things that you have around your home.
Yeah, probably the biggest difference between all the previous styles, let's revise, that was Renaissance, that was Expressionism, that was Primitivism, and that was Surrealism. Pop art is not about really applying paints it's about printmaking, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a lot of digital work as well, so that it can be mass-produced and it can be copied multiple times so that everyone has access to it. A lot of the time they use it in advertisements.
Oh yeah, it looks like these neon lights things.
Yeah, very cool. Maybe let's have a quick review of all of the different things we've looked at. So, let's see if you remember which styles they are. If we look at this painting...
Marilyn Monroe is definitely Andy Warhol's pop art.
Good. And this one?
Oh, the Scream. That is Edward Munch. I remember that.
Yeah. Do you remember what style it is?
Oh, this is Expressionism.
Excellent. Yes. And if we look at this one?
René Magritte, that is Surrealism. And Dali is my favorite if we talk about Surrealism.
Cool. This one is obviously your favorite.
Yeah, this is Maria Primachenko, where she meets Frida Kahlo. Yes, yeah, that is Primitivism.
Good. And the last one?
Oh, this is definitely Renaissance.
Renaissance.
With its 4 Ninja Turtles, main artists of that period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the creation of Adam. Yes. Excellent, excellent. Let's look at some new ones.
That looks like a test now.
A little bit. Let's look at some new paintings and see if you can make the connections and see if they fit into the styles we've been looking at. If we look at this one, you should recognize it.
Yeah, that is Salvador Dali. Yes, Surrealism.
Surrealism,
yes.
Good. And this one?
Oh, this is definitely pop art. I've just realized I've got lots of pop art at home because my kids are fans of all the characters and superheroes, and there are lots of pop art pictures and paintings, yes.
Cool. This one?
Oh, Frida Kahlo, of course, she is Primitivism.
Yeah, good. We've mentioned this one already.
Yes, Starry Night by Van Gogh.
And this one?
Oh, this is probably the very classics.
Yeah, most definitely.
Leonardo da Vinci's
The Last Supper. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, I think you've been to Milano. You told me about it.
Yeah, I saw it. And one really interesting thing that I learned about when I was looking at this fresco was that there are no legs on Jesus. because where it was painted on the wall, they needed to make a hole to make a door for the kitchen. So they just cut off his legs and put a door in instead.
Oh, wow. When you look at the picture, you don't really realize it.
No, you don't, but it's kind of a cool fact.
Yeah, good. I'm ready to play the game now.
Yeah? All right. So if I read you some words, I want you to figure out what style of painting I'm talking about. So let's start.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about perspective, fresco, anatomy, the human body, realistic, and religious. What do you think it could be?
I'm sure this is Renaissance because Leonardo was a big fan of anatomy. He studied the human bodies. And as long as you say frescoes, this is definitely Renaissance.
Cool. Well done. What about if we talk about anxiety, frustration, intense colors, brush strokes? It evokes emotion and expresses feeling.
Oh, thank you for expressing feelings. This is definitely expressionism, yeah, and Munch.
Yeah,
good.
excellent. What about advertising, printing, logos, vivid color, mass culture, comic books?
Pop art. I like vivid colors.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
I think I like bright pink and neon orange together. They kind of pop.
Yeah, good.
What about primary colors, red, yellow, or blue, folk art, simple, roots, prehistoric?
Yeah, primitivism, yeah.
Primitivism, most definitely. And the last one, unrealistic, strange, thought-provoking, odd shapes, and beyond reality. What could this be?
Surrealism.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, I like beyond reality.
It makes you kind of think.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Last Supper that we talked about a little bit earlier. We're going to return to the Renaissance. And here you can see a picture of the Last Supper. I have a little text that I want to read you and some questions.
What's the text about?
The text is about who exactly was chosen to be painted on the Last Supper.
Is it the true story? Is it the legend?
It's a legend, but you know, in every legend there's a little bit of truth.
Yeah.
Let's read the questions first so that we know what we're talking about and looking for.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the questions?
Yeah, I want to read the questions and I want to tell to students every time you are doing the listening activity or the reading activity and there are questions, please look through them before you hear or you read the text. It's very important and it will be easier for you to read the text or to listen to it and to know what you're looking for, what you're listening for. Right, let me read the questions. Good. So question number 1 will be, where did Leonardo da Vinci meet the young model for the first time? Oh, so it's going to be Leonardo da Vinci and painting and choosing models. Excellent. What type of face was the painter looking for when working on Judas? Type of face, I remember that. Where did Leonardo da Vinci meet the model for Judas? All right, so I will be listening or, looking for the place. Excellent.
So this will give you some clues of what we're going to talk about.
Good.
So let me read you the legend. A story is told that Leonardo da Vinci painted the Last Supper when living in Milan. Before he could paint the 13 figures, it was necessary to find men who could serve as models. Each model had to have a face that expressed da Vinci's vision of the particular man he would represent. Needless to say, this proved to be a tedious task to find just the right face. One Sunday, as da Vinci was at the cathedral for Mass, he saw a young man in the choir who looked like da Vinci's idea of how Jesus might have looked. He had features of love, tenderness, caring, innocence, compassion, and kindness. Arrangements were made for the young man, Pietro Bandolini, to sit as the model for the Lord. Years went by and the painting was still not completed. Da Vinci could not find just the right face for Judas. He was looking for a man whose face was streaked with despair, wickedness, greed, and sin. 10 years after starting the picture, he found a man in prison whose face wore all of these qualities of Judas, for which he had been searching. Consent was given for the prisoner to pose, and he sat as the model for Judas. Leonardo worked feverishly for days. As the work went on, he noticed certain changes taking place in the prisoner. His face seemed to fill with tension. His eyes, bloodshot, were filled with the horror as he gaped at the likeness of himself on the canvas. One day, Leonardo sensed the man's uneasiness so greatly that he stopped painting and asked, "What seems to trouble you so much?" The man buried his hands in his face and was convulsed with sobs. After a long time, he raised his head and inquired, "Don't you remember me? Years ago, I was the model for the Lord Jesus."
That's such a beautiful legend.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting how it went from him being Jesus to being Judas, flipping exactly 180 degrees.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the questions.
Yeah, can you read me question number 1, please?
Sure. Where did Leonardo da Vinci meet the young model for the first time?
That's a tricky question because the word choir is usually mispronounced by most of the students. So CH here stands for K.
Yeah.
Choir. And choir, that's the place where the people sing
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
church service.
Excellent.
Right, choir. So am I right with the choir?
You are. So he met him first time when he was singing in the choir. What type of face was the painter looking for when working on Judas?
All right, I wouldn't remember the exact description, but let's have a look at the text.
Yeah.
Because this is the moment you have to come back to the text and to make sure you pick up the correct set of words.
So if we look at the text, it says, he was looking for a man whose face was streaked with despair, wickedness, greed, and sin.
Right, we know the word sin,
Yeah.
wickedness, and despair. That's when you are helpless.
Very, very sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very sad, helpless.
Good. And question number 3. Where did Leonardo da Vinci meet the model for Judas?
By the time you reached this paragraph, I was really listening carefully. I knew it would be something interesting. So it's prison, the correct answer is prison.
Yeah.
And just like you've mentioned, this switch from being the innocent young man singing for the church choir to being in the prison, there must have been difficulties in this person's life.
Most definitely. But it's nice to see that he was able to use the same person and that the features of his face had changed so much.
Yeah,
But
I wonder whether we can really see it on the picture. Can we come back to the
Let's
picture
look at
and
the
see
picture.
if we can see that?
Can you see? Here we've labeled it. Jesus is in the
Yeah.
center and Judas is on the left side.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I really like this legend. Yes, yeah, good. It's hard to say. Yeah, the text was beautiful. Thank you for bringing it.
No problem. But there were a few words that I think we could probably review.
Yeah, let's do that.
So here are some words that I've pulled out. Necessary, particular, tedious, innocent, and arrangement. Let's try to find some synonyms.
Yeah, necessary. Would it be essential?
Yeah, or especial. What about particular?
Particular, that would be exceptional or special.
Good. What about tedious?
Oh, that's a very nice pronunciation. I would do it differently.
What would you say?
Tedious. Yeah. Tedious, yeah, tiring. What do we have here? Long and tiresome.
Yeah. What about innocence?
It's about harmlessness, isn't it?
And it was talking about when he painted for Jesus. He was looking for a character that was innocent.
Yeah.
And arrangement.
Arrangement, yeah, it's about agreement, organization. Yeah,
Excellent.
Good, and we use it as to make arrangement, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and innocent can be both the verb. Yeah.
Cool.
Innocence.
Yeah.
To be innocent. Yeah. Very
Excellent.
good. Right. So we've been doing lots of vocabulary, both at today's lesson, and trust me, all the 4 previous lessons. I felt like I was getting so much vocabulary, and I worried, how would my students learn it? You know, they're grade 11. They've got lots of subjects to cover and lots of information to keep in mind. What would be your techniques of learning vocabulary if we're talking about new language?
I like to put things in lists.
Right.
But I'm also a visual learner, and I like to have everything separated so that I can see, oh, this is here and this is here, and making connections. What do you call that?
Are you talking about mind maps?
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah, I believe that every project should have its mind map. So some people do it in lists, but I really like mind maps. And if you go online, there are many techniques, many websites that suggest you to create it for free. Right.
So how would you create a mind map for this topic?
I've created one already for my students, but let's talk about this as a learning technique. So mind map, my key word is art. And I knew when we talk about art, we have to first of all differentiate the types of art we have. So that would be visual, applied, and performing. As you can see it on our mind map, we have those 3. Right, if we talk about visual arts, shall I tell you which ones I've covered on my previous lessons?
Sure.
Yeah, so they're visuals. They are something that we can look at. Right, so those would be paintings. photography, printmaking, which is mostly
Pop art.
yeah, good. Ceramics, videos, architecture.
Oh, I never thought of architecture in art, but
Yes,
very cool.
yes, and drawings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, would you like to comment on the difference between paintings and drawings?
I think drawing for me is when you just do a quick sketch with a pencil, and a painting is something that is a process and it takes a lot longer, and is something which is usually made from tempera paint or acrylic or watercolor paint or oil-based paint.
Yeah, the students who I usually teach, they would mix up those two.
Really?
So, yeah, so we draw with a pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we paint with
with
paint.
the paints. That's easy.
It's
Good.
easy.
Yeah, thank you. So the next one, which I have on my mind map, is applied.
Uh-huh. What do you mean by applied?
Yeah, so that would be fashion design,
Uh-huh.
interior design. That would be architecture again.
Yes.
Good, because you are creating it. And a computer design, which is surprising.
Oh, very cool.
It's considered to be applied art.
So you've taken the art as a form and you've put it into something which is usable by people.
Yeah,
Cool.
and that's just another type of creating it. As you've mentioned digital art previously.
Yeah.
Where would you put digital art?
Oh gosh, you could put it on anything.
Yeah.
Advertisements, I think, are very a good example of digital art, where people don't even consider how much work goes into them. They just think, oh, it's an advertisement. But they have all the elements of previous types of art that we've discussed.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Performing.
Uh-huh.
Good. I left it blank. I only put singing.
Okay.
I would like my students to think of other types of performing art. How do you think, what could that be? I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Good. What about you, Andrea?
I would say dancing could go
Oh, yeah,
there.
yeah.
I could say acting could go into art.
Yeah.
What else? Even like breakdancing or ballet, if you go into different forms of dancing, would be kind of cool to look at.
Yeah, theatre comes here as well.
Oh yeah, good.
Yes, filming and theatre. Very good. So now we've had a look at the three types of visual, performing and applied arts. The other vocabulary that I wanted to cover is really types of paintings.
Uh-huh.
Yes, right. So today we spoke about the periods of time and different styles, but if we talk about types, those would be still life. Are you a fan of still life paintings?
Not really, because I'd rather eat the fruit that's on the painting than have it hanging on my wall.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes. Portraits.
Uh-huh, cool.
Yeah.
We looked at a lot of portraits today.
Yeah.
Self-portraits and just regular portraits.
Yeah, but do you know the reason why Frida Kahlo was doing mostly self-portraits?
No, why?
Well, she was badly injured and she spent lots of time in her bed. Her parents provided her with a mirror. It was fixed above her bed, and then they provided her with all the, canvases.
Cool. So it was the only thing she had to paint.
Yes.
How interesting.
Yeah, I have a book about Frida Kahlo at home, so this is where I learned it.
Oh, cool.
Yes, good. The battle piece.
Oh, those are usually very aggressive, no? With dark
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah, but still popular even nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Landscapes.
Oh, those are very nice. I think they've even become popular with photography, where people take pictures of landscapes.
That's true, that's true. And the seascape.
Oh, I would love to go to the sea.
Yeah, not now.
Not now.
Yeah, but seascapes are popular as well. So the waves can be, quite harsh, or it can be the calm, nice seas.
And you can look at brushstrokes when you're looking at seascapes.
Yeah.
It can give you a lot of emotion.
Yeah, right. But what would be most of the styles of the seascapes? Would it be?
I don't know. I think every style had a little bit of seascapes. I think it would be the most interesting in expressionism.
Yeah.
Just like Starry Night, where the sky looks like it's been swept by the wind. I think that would be a really cool way to paint waves.
Yeah. And the brushstrokes that you've mentioned
Yeah.
when they created. Right, and some useful vocabulary to describe a picture. The very first thing we see when we look at the picture is how all the objects are arranged. Right, so we have to remember about the prepositions and not to mix them. The object can be in the middle, it can be in the foreground when it is at the front, in the background. It can be at the bottom, at the top when we describe something. Good. If you have a look at my mind map, what else would you add?
I think you could maybe add the periods that we looked at and organize them that way. But I think it's a really excellent mind map, and it'll help people or your students to organize their ideas and make sure that everything is in the right spot and put things in boxes.
Good. And again, describing the picture, you might have some useful vocabulary about the colors, right? If they are dull, if they are vivid, if they're bright.
Or primary. Let's test and see your knowledge. Let me describe a painting for you and see if you can guess which painting it is or which style it's painted in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah?
Good.
So, if you look at this painting...
Oh, I can give you the painting. Thank you.
If you look at the painting...
So I'm not looking at it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just listen to the words that I've described. It has very distinct brush strokes.
Wait, is it one of your pictures or is it the world famous one?
It's a famous one.
All
It's
right.
a famous
Okay,
one.
good.
It has very distinct brush strokes. The colors are vivid. It's in one tone of colors, you can say. You can feel a lot through this painting. It was made with oil paints, which I think is important. It's a bit of a landscape in the foreground of the painting. Any guesses so far?
Well, the brush strokes, which is obviously my favorite word combination at today's meeting. I believe this sounds like A Starry Night by Van Gogh.
Yeah, exactly, Starry Night. It's probably one of his most famous. And if you look really close into the details, you can see in the foreground there's even a little town, which not many people notice.
Do you know where he drew this picture?
No.
Oh gosh, I feel like I know all the legends. Actually, this one is not the legend, that's true. Well, Van Gogh spent some time at the hospital, and that's what he saw from his hospital window.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he was posting on Instagram.
Kind of.
What he saw.
Yeah,
How
kind
cool.
of.
Excellent.
Kind of. And you can still go to that studio. Well, now they turned it into studio, and you can express yourself by creating your own picture.
How interesting.
Yeah.
But only in a while can you visit that studio, because we should all stay home right now.
Yeah, it's stay-at-home hashtag.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, Andrea, thank you very much for giving me such a great dive into the world of art.
Thanks for asking me to come along.
Yeah, I hope our students have learned all the nice vocabulary, all the nice ideas, and thank you for the legend about Leonardo.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olga.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Thank you. Goodbye.